Once upon a time, a girl lived in a village where people laughed so easily that dreams learned to whisper before they dared to speak. They laughed at jokes, at rumors, at strangers passing through. But most of all, they laughed at ambition. In that village, laughter was not joy. It was a warning. It meant stay small, stay familiar, stay where we can recognize you. And when the girl spoke of her dreams, laughter followed her like a shadow that never needed sunlight. Her name was Amina. Amina was not loud. She did not interrupt conversations or demand attention. She listened more than she spoke, watched more than she reacted. While others gathered in circles to talk about what was, Amina wondered about what could be. And that curiosity, quiet as it was, made people uncomfortable. Because in a village where everyone accepted the limits placed on them, a girl who imagined more felt like an insult. From the time she was young, Amina carried a dream she could not fully explain. She only knew that her life was meant to stretch beyond the dusty paths of the village. She wanted to build something meaningful, something that would change her future, even if it did not change the village's opinion of her. At first, she spoke about it. She spoke to friends who smiled politely but laughed the moment she turned away. She spoke to elders who shook their heads and said, "Dreams don't put food on the table." She spoke to neighbors who said, "Girls like you don't do things like that." And each time she spoke, the laughter grew louder. It was not cruel laughter. That would have been easier to ignore. It was casual laughter, the kind that says, "We don't even need to take you seriously." The kind that stings deeper than anger ever could. Still, Amina tried. She stood in the marketplace one afternoon and shared her plans with a small crowd. She spoke carefully, choosing words that felt strong enough to hold her hope. But before she could finish, someone chuckled. Then another. Soon the sound rolled through the crowd like a wave. Someone said, "She thinks she's special." Another added, "Life will teach her." Another villager laughed and said, "Let her enjoy her imagination." Amina stood there, her mouth open, her voice drowned out by noise. That night she cried, not because she doubted her dream, but because she was tired of fighting the noise. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every laugh, every smirk, every dismissive glance. And somewhere between exhaustion and clarity, a thought entered her mind, soft but firm. "Every time I speak, they get louder." She sat up in bed, heart pounding. What if I stopped speaking, not because she was afraid, not because she was giving up, but because maybe, just maybe, silence could protect what noise kept trying to destroy? That was the night Amina made a decision that would change everything. The next morning, she said nothing. When people asked her about her dream, she smiled and shrugged. When someone joked that she had finally come to her senses, she nodded. When laughter came, she did not defend herself. The villagers assumed she had given up, and that assumption was the greatest gift they could have given her. Because while the villagers slept, Amina worked. While others talked, she learned. While laughter echoed in daylight, discipline lived in her nights. She woke before the sun, studying in the quiet moments when the world was still honest. She practiced in secrecy, failed in privacy, learned lessons no applause ever taught. Her hands grew tired. Her mind grew sharper. Her heart grew stronger. There were days she wanted to tell someone, anyone, how hard she was trying. Days she longed for encouragement, for recognition, for proof that her struggle mattered. But she remembered the laughter. And she chose silence again. Silence became her shield. Silence became her discipline. Silence became the place where her dream could breathe. The villagers noticed her quietness but did not question it deeply. People are rarely curious about someone they believe has already failed. They return to their routines, their gossip, their comfort. And Amina returned to her work. She failed more times than she could count. There were nights she stared at her progress and wondered if the villagers had been right. Nights when fear whispered that she was wasting her life chasing something that might never come. But even then, she stayed silent. Because she had learned something powerful. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your becoming. Time passed. Months turned into years. The girl who once explained herself now moved with quiet confidence. She no longer needed approval to continue. Her dream no longer needed validation to survive. It was rooted deep, fed by effort instead of applause. One afternoon, an opportunity arrived, unexpected and undeserved by anyone who had laughed. Someone outside the village noticed her work. Someone who did not know her past, did not hear the laughter, did not care about the village's opinions. They only saw skill, dedication, excellence. Amina did not celebrate loudly, she prepared. When the news reached the village, it traveled faster than laughter ever had. Whispers replaced jokes, curiosity replaced mockery. The same people who once laughed now asked questions. Is it true? Did you hear about Amina? How did she do it? When she returned to the village, there was no crowd waiting to cheer. Only silence, the kind of silence that follows realization, the kind of silence that admits we were wrong. Amina did not say, "I told you so." She did not explain her journey, she did not replay the past. She simply stood there calm, composed, unbothered. Her success spoke in a language the village finally understood. The room that once laughed could no longer find its voice. And in that moment, Amina realized something deeper than victory. She had not won because she was louder. She had won because she was patient. Because while others talked, she worked. While others laughed, she learned. While others doubted, she built. And that is how a girl who once lived in a village of laughter learned that silence, when paired with commitment, can be the loudest weapon of all. Not every dream needs an audience. Some only need courage, consistency, and time. And Amina walked forward, leaving behind the noise, not because it disappeared, but because it no longer mattered. If you believe in yourself, you do not need the validations of others. Work like no other person in your group. Work like you have nothing and believe in yourself. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but you will be great one day. Comment relentless motivation and follow this channel to take a step towards your breakthrough.